Welcome back to another episode of Between Two Clouds. I'm your host, Danny Hunt. Our guest today is Dave Nowicki. Dave is a field CTO over at Expedient. Dave, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's holiday season and we're not, full bench, so I drew the short straw. But happy to be here.
The short straw seems to be a common response amongst folks, so maybe I'll have to change things up. But no, we're glad you're here. You know, our software that we use to record these doesn't allow for virtual backgrounds. And I found that you can learn a lot about somebody when that virtual background comes down. My ADD is on fire right now, and I'm not going to be able to move on until we talk about your office there. Help me understand what's going on there in the background.
Yeah, well, the cabinet is my wife's because I don't have that good of a taste, but the video games from my dad, kid of the '80s, so something that's near and dear to my heart. He didn't know what to do for Christmas one year, so this showed up, and first thing I had to do was hack it. And right, it's chock full of games, but it makes for a good couple of minute refresh when you've had a bad call.
Yeah, that's a conversation piece, to say the least. And the inner nerd in me is certainly excited about it. What about that belt that's sitting on the top of it?
So a couple years ago at our sales kickoff, I won the essay of the year, but there was also a demo contest, and I wound up winning that. So I had the two bagger, and this was the prize. The issue was when I went to SKO, I didn't check any baggage, right? It was just a backpack because it's a quick trip. So I had to come home on the plane with that thing strapped to my backpack.
That's
like
awesome. Yep. Another great conversation piece. So I appreciate you sharing that, and congrats.
Thanks.
Don Benjamin, very good friend of mine who works over there with you. I've come to know Expedient well over the years, doing a great job for a number of my customers. For folks who've maybe not had that experience or never worked with you before, talk a little bit about who Expedient is.
Yeah, sure. So based in the US, we own and operate 15 data centers in North America. And out of those data centers, we do some really neat cloud and co-location things. So kind of the tagline is we help our clients get to the cloud faster, right? We're helping them do things quicker than they would be able to do on their own. So that's pretty broad, but cloud and data center things.
Yeah, very cool. I myself spent 15 years with another hosting provider. You know, during that time, I saw a great deal of change. I think the move from centralized to distributed and back, physical to virtual, virtual to cloud, you know, things seem to be settling down. And with the recent wide business adoption of AI, things seem to be stirring back up. You know, from your perspective, what changes, trends are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I remember early in my career talking to clients and prospects, and cloud was the big thing. And I remember saying to one of those meetings, like, in the future, we won't sell cloud. It'll just be implied, right? It won't matter because you'll buy services. And following that, you saw this en masse move to the hyperscalers, where everybody just forklifted stuff to the cloud because that was the direction they had. And of course, we all know how that went, right? It was expensive and cumbersome and clunky. So you see this kind of ricochet effect where businesses crown jewels. They want to protect them. They want to be first responders. They want to have the feeling of control over those platforms. So, a large part of the deals that we're involved with, it's clients that are moving from hyperscaler or that are facing this hardware refresh, and they don't want to give up the control to move those workloads out into the cloud that they can't touch. So we fit in really well there, and I think we've got a lot of value around those core applications.
Yeah, we're seeing some of those trends as well. And you had mentioned this to me at one point, but I believe you have a practitioner background. Our CTO, Ben Thornton, also has a practitioner background. And I find that always gives a unique and different perspective to folks, especially as you move into this kind of role.
Yeah, I mean, nothing was worse to me as a buyer or consumer than giving up control on stuff, right? Because I knew that me and my guys could do it faster or quicker. One of the reasons that I came over to Expedient is that we co-manage all of our solutions. So, if I'm as the consumer have to do an Excel restore for Sally in accounting, I can still do that, right? I don't have to be beholden to a ticket or a process. So yeah, it certainly makes the dialogue with those companies a
Yeah.
little bit better because they have the same control concerns.
Yeah. The co-management component comes up quite a bit in conversations. And I think it's certainly an advantage to you having the ability to deliver solutions in that capacity. So, Dave, this is the part where I generally ask folks for a funny or interesting story, and I'm going to mix things up on you a little bit. Let's maybe look for a story of, I don't want to use the term nightmare, but where things didn't go as planned, challenging. Maybe that's a better way to phrase it.
We all have those horror stories, don't we? Um, so this was years back. I was working at a MSP, but they had a small hosting practice in a data center that they built themselves, right? So they're very proud of this thing. And it was back in like 13 or 14. We had a derecho move through the country, and it knocked out power in a bunch of different places, which of course dried up all the generator supply. But thankfully, we had a generator and we were running, and things were great. Uh, and then Monday morning at like 9 a.m., start getting alerts and tickets that the system is on UPS. And of course, we have no idea how a diesel generator works, but we hear it running and we're just kind of looking at each other like, oh no. And, the alerts get more and more prioritized, and it's noisy. And all of a sudden, we realize the data center is going to go dark because 5 minutes is not enough to figure out what's going on. So I'll never forget it. It was me and my best friend at the time, but business analyst, and we're standing in the data center, and it goes dark. And I mean, just telling the story gives me chills, right? Because
Yeah.
there's nothing more unnatural
Yeah.
than a quiet data center.
Yeah.
And then immediately customers start calling. Go ahead, sorry.
No. I was going to say it. I wish I could say I hadn't been there before. Now, I'm assuming that you had, backup lights at least within the facility, because that could be.
Well, so it's kind of interesting, right? Because all the low voltage prox card stuff, that was dead too, because the building hadn't had power in 4 days. So just the generator powering the critical loads, once we lost that and, we closed the door to leave, we couldn't get back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is practice your BCP, right?
Yep.
Critically
Yeah.
important.
It's those experiences that prepare you for the future. No, I appreciate you sharing that. That's
Yeah.
again, like I said, I wish I could say that I hadn't been there, but that's a too familiar story for me in a former life.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Dave, listen, it was good chatting with you. I really appreciate you coming by, even if it was because you drew the short straw. Enjoyed chatting with you here.
Yeah, same. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate the time, and happy holidays.
Yes, you as well. And for everybody else who took the time to stop by, we'll see you next time.